What does it mean to live in an economy built on attention? Tonight, in this episode of The Rundown, we'll explore how modern media is sustained, why so much digital content is labeled free, and how attention has become a central resource in today's online landscape. The conversation looks at the systems and incentives behind personalization, endless content, and engagement-driven platforms, inviting reflection on how these dynamics shape the way we focus, connect, and make choices in our media-saturated world. Let's get started. Welcome to The Rundown. Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I never say that in the right order, but it's good to see you. Whatever time of day, my thingy stinking? Yeah, it is. Look at that. Whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are, I'm glad that you're spending some time here with us. Hello, Tommy. Hello, Jeffrey. Good to see you. Hello, GRGGSCTT. Watching on YouTube, and I think that's David Brady. Maybe is this thing on? Good to see you, Victor. Good to see you also. And it's so good to see my dear friends here. Hey, Tamara, how are you?
I am great. So you inspired me this week.
Uh-oh.
I made a new app. I was like, I'm going to make a new app. And when I went there, they're like, you just need Airtable. And I'm like, you're right. I just need Airtable. But I've been designing 20 Airtables to run an entire repeatable show that I do 3 times a year that I just don't have the staff to do.
That's amazing.
Putting together, it literally will pull together people's packets of their handouts and attach it to a button, make it so that it's deliverable and customized for each person. I'm like so excited. I've been
That's
fighting
amazing.
with it.
What platform are you using?
So I'm using Airtable. And I'm using ChatGPT to kind of guide me through.
Yeah, Airtable built in a lot of ways to customize, didn't they?
They did, and I've been kind of wanting to play around with it, and I was actually going to go and build it as an app like you've been doing, and I went to 3 different AIs, and I said, hey, here's what I need to do. I need to take care of this, and they're like, Airtable, and I ended up with ChatGPT because the others timed out too quickly, and Chat could go the distance, so.
There you go. Fantastic. All right. Wonderful. And as I'm switching over to our next panelist, hello also to Lois. We missed you, Lois, and hello to Lalak. And hello, Mr. Tony Mobley. How you doing, sir?
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. So, it's funny, just before it just dawned on me that just before we started the show, I was telling you how wowed I was by your show last night and tell me again, free show, right?
Free show.
Which is, what a great segue into tonight's topic. Like, is it really free? That'll be interesting to actually think about, right? Because that's a wonderful free tool, but I can hear Sky. He's chomping at the bit. Is it really free? Speaking of Sky,
I've scared people away.
No,
David, I'm such a friendly, nice guy.
You haven't scared anyone away. This is going to be a fantastic
my
conversation.
rave, my inner angst.
No, this is going to be a fantastic conversation. I'm so glad that all of you are here. Let's jump into the news. What do you say?
What does it cost me?
All right, my friends, we have some news to get to. Number 1, Q.AI. So this just happened before we went on air. It happened around noon Eastern time, I believe. It was announced that Apple has just made its second largest acquisition in history. They acquired for nearly $2 billion an Israeli startup called Q.AI. Now, as it turns out, the owner or the founder of Q.AI sold another company to Apple called PrimeSense back in 2013. Apparently didn't make enough money from that sale. And so now he has sold this one, and he and his team are also joining Apple. Now, PrimeSense is what allowed us, Tamara doesn't like this, but PrimeSense is what allowed us to get away from the fingerprint reader to log in to the visual, the face recognition, the 3D sensing. It was a 3D sensing startup that made that shift to Face ID possible. Q.AI is interesting. It's doing a few different things. So number one, it started out in audio, in artificial intelligence with audio, which makes a lot of sense for Apple to acquire given what they're doing with AirPods, how they're putting live translation in AirPods and things like that. But the bigger thing, I think, is this micro facial. I don't even know how to describe it. It can read your mind. It can read your emotions. Looking for microfacial movements. It can detect or enable Vision Pro users potentially to control interfaces with barely perceptible movements.
See, if they would have hired my mother, she could do that. Turned around, she could. I know what you're doing.
That's fantastic.
My mother could have been $103 billion richer. I'm just saying.
But can it do it in the dark? Because that's the problem with face recognition.
My mother could.
Right?
Hey, we don't attack moms on this show.
I'm crediting. No, this is a compliment. Are you kidding? And I'm a pauper because of we're a few years late to the party. Apparently, I'm sorry. Did I make fun of something?
No. I think the goal here for Apple is, I think that they know now they're not going to have, now that they've announced that they're going with Gemini, they're not going to have the best or biggest LLM. They're going to rely on someone else for that. They're not going to have the smartest AI chatbot. They're going to rely on someone else for that. What they can do, though, is bet on the most promising technologies that enhance what they're already offering. So, for example, if instead of pouring billions into cloud infrastructure, if Apple can buy expertise to make AI feel native to the hardware and invisible, that's the game in many ways.
Well, the opportunity I had working over inside of Microsoft, just as one of the cogs, one of the the hired machines to push the buttons, the realization were their entire industries around growing something fast so that they would be sold to these bigger platforms. And that's to the point of having hundreds, if not thousands, of companies that were either hired to, attach and glue onto whatever the Microsoft or Apple platform was, or to be shelved and put away so that it wouldn't be in competition.
Right.
So this is $3 billion of, hey, we need to get somewhere fast, and this company's doing a lot better than our little design team we don't have the expertise in. So what is the core competency? Gluing all of these things together from wherever they end up
and I think
from.
And connecting it to hardware, which is really their core competency. Yeah.
But also I think that with Apple, you can always put the word yet on the end of anything. It's really smart for them to go out and get other people to do what they need to do while they're still developing. We saw that with the chips. We had Intel chips for a long time because that's what worked. And then they were working behind the scenes to release what really is the chip that is really fast. So I think that with Apple, it's a really smart strategy. And I think you can always put the word yet at the end of almost anything that they do, because we don't know where their long-term plan is.
Right. Vic is
my mother's not there yet. I got it.
Yeah, not yet. Vic is helping me out with the word that I couldn't think of was microexpressions. Microexpressions are brief, involuntary facial expressions that reveal a person's genuine emotions, even when they are consciously trying to conceal them. And then someone else said, it sounds like a great way to cheat at poker. Pro prompt. It's a great way to cheat at poker. So possibly. So there are a couple of things that are interesting to me about this. Number one, second largest acquisition by Apple. Number two, forgive me, I'm proud that it's an Israeli company. Number three is this, to me, feels like a really strategic move. It's not throwing It doesn't feel to me like throwing pasta at the wall, spaghetti at the wall. It feels like this is something that can give us our niche back, our specialty back in the world of AI, and I think that's a smart move. Speaking of niches and specialties, oh, I just lost it. AlphaFold. Do you remember AlphaFold? This was not long ago. AlphaFold was a technology that helped us. It was it was not a technology. It was I don't know if you can actually call it an AI model, but it was a large language model, I believe, that we could use in science to understand how proteins would work and why they would fold in on themselves. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what it was about. Okay. So now Google has something called Alpha Genome. An Alpha Genome sequence as input. So up to 1 million letters known as base pairs, and it can predict thousands of molecular properties characterizing its regulatory activity. It can score the effects of genetic variants and mutations by comparing predictions of mutated sequences with unmutated ones. This is from the Google DeepMind blog. I remember when they announced that they had, sort of uncovered the, how to sequence the genome. Now it can happen, like that. This gives us access. Not access. I shouldn't say access, but this helps us understand the 98% of our DNA that we have not uncovered yet. And it's this unbelievable tool that they just announced is now available to scientists. The model builds on our previous genomic models, Informer, and is complementary to Alpha Missense, which specializes in categorizing the effects of variants within protein coding regions. Being a scientist, being a doctor in this new world, wow.
Yeah, the world.
It really is. It's stunning to me. Oops. It's stunning to me that the tools that are available now for these doctors.
I was just listening to a podcast, and he had been interviewing doctors circumstantially. I think it was of the two podcasts that I listened to. I will get the name of those in a minute. But what he said was he'd interviewed medical professionals, and they were very frustrated because the civilians are now coming in with their WebMD responses, and consequently, they're not listening to the experts that actually know something, and they're going along with the plumber that has a bigger, following than the doctors do, and then the doctors are being limited by how many hours hours. Seconds. Seconds. I was going to even say minutes, but you beat me to the punchline of FaceTime that they have with us if we can get to see them.
Right.
So, yes, for the I want to be happy.
Well, but look, yes, when we come in thinking that AI has the answers to our medical problems, that poses challenges. But I'm not sure that the other day I was watching TV, or watching the football game actually, and there was an ad for a medicine that came on. And I said out loud, I was thinking to myself, I don't understand the advertising of medicines, because I'm the guy who goes into the doctor and just does what my doctor says. Nope. I take what my doctor tells me to take. I do what my doctor says. I don't question. I don't know any better.
Old.
And so maybe. So the idea that I would see an ad and then go to my doctor and say, "Hey, I saw this ad. Maybe I should try that," is so foreign to me. But that's the same as walking in and saying, "AI told me X, Y, and Z."
But But I think that there's a couple of issues, right? Because one, this is great at the science level, but it's not going to hit the doctor level for quite some time. Doctors' levels are using AI to transcribe notes, and they're
Yep.
not always accurate. You have to go and read what they've transcribed because it's not correct. But also, like I dealing with my mom's cancer and her car accident, I've seen people who are literally at the top, like they're at high level universities. The one doctor she sees literally created the thing that he's good at. When we go to their office, the processing speed of them being able to their get any of her records up, like we have to bring them in hard copy because their machines are so old. So I feel like on the day-to-day level where we are in doctors, that is actually not going to be effective at this moment because they don't have the hardware structure in place. The doctor's office I go to has had their computers down for over a month. So I think at the practical level, that in the day-to-day level we won't see this anytime soon, but I think that it is promising at the scientific level because we should be using AI to process information. We should be using things to like give us information quickly. That is what we is proven that it's good at right now.
Yeah, Yuke is mentioning in the chat, and he's absolutely right that your medical doctor will not know about this, right? That this is about structural
Right.
prediction models from DNA for proteins that are. Yes, you're absolutely right. At the same time as this was announced, OpenAI released Prism, which is essentially a way for it's an LLM powered tool for scientists to write their papers and do their research. And again, this isn't necessarily for medical doctors; it's for researchers, perhaps. But I mean, just look at this. This kind of blew my mind. 1.3 million scientists around the world submit more than 8 million queries a week to ChatGPT on advanced topics in science and math. That's a lot, and I mean it's wonderful. And so OpenAI is now giving them a dedicated sandbox or playground in which to do that work. It's the ways that this is going to impact the way we discover, how we discover new cures, new treatments, probably new viruses. It's astonishing to me. It really is. It's pretty amazing what we're coming up with. All right, my friends.
Well, and it's the exponential speed. I think the challenge has always been the access, and to Tony's, ongoing championing the need for a flat playing field. That therein lies the challenge. I mean, were we to live in the utopian world of Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry, I'd be very excited about this. I'm unfortunately jaded and empathetic enough now that some of this stuff is awesome, and I just love watching Dave Paskin get excited about something. So that's always entertaining. But where is the outcome of this? I love that people are interacting with us on. I love Alexander Knight, all the way 45 miles north of us. He's of me anyway. Interacting with their ideas and opinions. That's unheard of.
Right.
Had this come out in an article or a newspaper or a magazine, even 5 years ago. Right. So we're learning how to learn. There's Alex's notes, which are much more articulate than my scribbles.
And Vic, I appreciate you mentioning this. I am not watching The Pit because I can't wait a whole week in between episodes. I need the whole season to be out, or else I might lose my mind. So,
Tamara, he's a binger. We didn't know.
I am too. I'm fully on board with that.
Yeah. Oh, you self-identify.
And
I self-identify.
And I'm not watching any. Like I love Dr. Mike, who does reflections on. I'm not watching any of that because,
Starfleet Academy. if you're gonna wait,
I liked Starfleet Academy.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
The homage. Hey, we could go down that rabbit trail for the next 30 minutes.
Yes.
But let's not.
Let's not. Let's instead. Oh, I have an idea. Let's talk about our main topic. Brody Hefner, thank you for being here. The U.S. and New Zealand are the only wealthy countries in which prescription drugs may be advertised directly to patients. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I had no
That's
idea.
Cool information. That feels on brand for us.
The United States and New Zealand. Oh, I wish Dave were here to tell us if that happens.
Without
again.
which, 80%, if not more, of the broadcast, the cable TV shows would not have a reason to be on air.
They wouldn't be able to be on air because they wouldn't have any money. Yeah.
Other than Geico, I think Geico is the only other company that, and State Farm, it's only two things that, keep HGTV alive, and that's the only show we watch. $300 a month for cable, and I watch two shows. There's something wrong there.
Yeah, and what's the book? Mesothelioma, CNN. That's the only thing that advertises on CNN, Mesobook. They always want to send me a book. It's unbelievable. All right. Sky.
David.
I want to help you, Sky, because we love you.
And
I'm worried about you.
I want to be loved.
You feel very, very strongly
Passionate.
that something about horses and being free. You kept putting it in the doc about free horses, and I didn't understand.
You kept taking it out.
No, I kept moving it. I put it at the bottom.
Oh, excuse me.
What?
Truly.
Explain yourself, my friend. No, seriously. In all seriousness, this is something that you are passionate about. Set the stage for us. Right? Set the stage. Why does it matter? Why should we be discussing this?
I think it mattered, and this is where I'm so glad Lois is here remotely, because I consider these acquaintances that I know, you and I and people in England and people in California and people in Atlanta and people around the world share lives together. Now, intimately this week, I was able to sit next to Guy Cochran at a hockey game. That was awesome, but I don't get that pleasure with each of you. And I respect each of you. And I just heard the word free blithely repeated in such a way from Lois that it came up out of me. It ugly head
why?
in me,
like
my
what?
brain.
What is it about?
Because it's not.
That's what I want to get to. So explain your theory.
The phrase is,
go ahead.
The phrase about a horse is there is no such thing as a free horse. Because once you get a free horse, you got to brush it, you've got to take care of it, you've got to, take it to the vet, you've got to. So that the word free all of a sudden came up in me that we are promoting a lie. And that's where I wanted, as intelligent, sentient, conscious humans, we are consumers. And trust me, I appreciate not having to pay to get introduced to a concept of software, because I have been known to use software that I may not have purchased, plausible deniability. But at one time when they were all on floppy disks, I needed to learn how to use this software, and there was no free disks just lying around unless you were AOL. And consequently, that we are introduced to these entry-level services that these tools are, I'm in agreement with. Absolutely with Tony that you're saying that there's a free whatever the software was that I missed the talk about last night.
Free show. Yeah.
But what I'm recognizing is from day one, we are the product of Google. And that is not disrespectful. It's just an agreement that we have made as consumers because we want their services. And historically, we would have paid for their service in a different way. So the fallacy of the word free is coming from me being a part of the problem in creating content that people thought they were going to be, you know, not responsible for, or not, influenced by, all while getting influenced, and or your product is, so your content is being sold, as a guinea pig.
So
So that's
so
the long version of what I was trying to say shortly, and I didn't do a very good job.
so Vic says
Please.
he considers free services as digital barter. I trade my
Thank you.
data for your
There it
service.
is.
First rule of thermodynamics, according to Lelek, there is no free
There it
lunch.
is.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, what I want to get to, what we will get to eventually is,
Please.
okay, so what? Like, I'm not sure that's a bad
Right.
thing. But before we do that, I need to clarify. I have a clarifying question. Is it me that becomes the what did you call it? Sky, not the topic, the
Product?
product. Thank you. Or is it my attention? Because I think there's a subtle but important difference there. You know, the attention economy. We discovered that when we started placing ads in newspapers. The more eyeballs in the newspaper, the more eyeballs see the ads, the more money the ad costs. Attention economy. We've just perfected that in digital space. To my mind, me being the product feels different, feels invasive as opposed to my attention. Can you just clarify that? What you think about that? Tony, go ahead.
Tony.
I think that it can be both. And the reason I say that I think that it can be both is because depending on what the application or commercial or whatever it is, depending on what it is or how you interact with it, it can be both. Because my friend Doug Moeller made an earlier comment about it's money is time and time is money,
There's the
and
punchline.
and and the fact of the matter is that we invest. So we talked about free show last night, and what I will say about it is that yes, it does not cost you anything monetarily, but it does take your time or there are all kinds of videos that support training and the use of, but you still have to invest some of your good limited time in the product in order to learn how to use it. And I think it's fantastic, that it doesn't cost you anything monetarily, but it does cost you time. And as has already been stated, there is no free lunch.
Yeah. Tamara, go ahead.
So I'm just curious, if we're projecting on corporations something that is a so what. It's not that I don't agree with you. I do agree with you, but corporations are doing exactly what they need to do. If you're the CEO, your job is to report to your investors that you have a good return on investment, and therefore focusing on making sure the models are attention grabbing and attention keeping. That is the job of them. And I feel like we've kind of gotten away from understanding that that's their gig, that's their job. And to be a CEO, the second you become a CEO, we start talking about your demise and we start plotting your ouster. So I think that's part of it, and we're frustrated as consumers and kind of flabbergasted that we're the product, but that is literally their gig. One of the things that I think the downside for me when in thinking about this is that we've started to self-identify based on our value to other people. And the way I see that as a negative in how we're seeing people, how we're living our day-to-day lives, is we're putting a lot of pressure on CEOs of corporations and on our jobs to be things that they're not, because we don't have those community conversations that we have had, from the dawn of time. And I think that one of the things we're seeing is because we have started to feel more commoditized, and we're the product, we start seeing ourselves that way. And what you're seeing happening in communities is things like, well, I'm not going to work outside of my contract hours. I don't want to help so and so because they didn't deserve it. And I think that's a bigger negative of than a corporation doing what a corporation does. I think the fact that we have internalized that and we've said, yeah, I'm worth more, so I should see money back from what they're making off of me. And I think that's what we're seeing in society is people not caring for each other, people not having community with each other. And I think all of that is part of this bigger conversation. But I'm less concerned with you about the idea of free is free. Like, is that is a word that doesn't matter to me because I'm entering into a contract. And in fact, they are giving me a service. It's taking up too much of my time. That's on me. They are even, TikTok is free. It certainly is not. It's taking up hours of my time. And if I am worth a certain amount of money, that is that much amount of money that I'm giving up by not working and doing that and scrolling through TikTok. But they are providing what they say they're going to provide, a place for me to engage with content.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing that they are not providing a service. I guess I'm internally, analyzing what it is that is making me anxious about this. And again, in preparing for today, the free is the marketing propaganda word that is just easy and quick, and it's very attractive, isn't it? Now, if I had the marketing phrase, we're going to give you this product and it's going to be amazing for your life and it will cost you nothing. See, that's too long of a sentence to fit on, but all of a sudden free gets our adrenaline cooking and gets our endorphins going. It's like, I won something. And so it's like how smart I am. And so that's, I think, maybe what I'm realizing I'm struggling with is it's getting our attention. And the three little analogies were, well, when I go to the gym, I have to pay for it, and I get healthier by doing the reps. But
the gym membership is totally based on me paying for the gym membership and not going to the gym. I pay to make the gym wonderful for you. I promise you. So I think that that's part of.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
My money maintains the machines that I do not use for everyone else, and that is the gym membership model. They count on people like me not showing up, so that people like you who show up every single day can justify the cost. Because you're paying like 50 cents to go to the gym. I'm paying
And so now we can call that subsidized. So right. You are subsidizing.
I'm subsidizing your gym equipment, and I go to your gym.
My better health. So I will send you a card.
Your purple machines are maintained by me.
But
and there are so many purple machines.
I'm not. I mean, that doesn't sound to me like subsidizing. That sounds to me like the way that capitalism works in a society.
Right.
That we all
agreed.
We all participate in. We all pay into Social Security.
Right.
And people other than us then benefit from that. And then eventually, please God, hopefully, we will benefit from that. But that's part of being in a capitalistic society, I think. Tony, you want to jump in?
Well, I was just going to say what you just said about this being a capitalistic society. So I'll just pass from that point on.
And add on to that, a consumer-based capitalist republic.
Yes.
So yes, that is the world in which we live, but we choose to live here. As much as you think we don't.
I don't think that's the argument. I think what it is it's a matter. It's not even a matter. It's not even about whether you love the country or anything like that.
Right.
I think what it's really about is that you understand that there is a mechanism for making money. And
there it is.
When there is a product that can be sold, you have the option of buying it. But like when you said the word free, it gives the illusion that you are getting something that you are not having to pay money out for. But you are still a product in that sense, because like Tamara said, it's all about the companies are in business to make money. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand what's really going on. And so I really want to go back to what I was talking when I shared about free show. I understand that it's not free, even though the name says free show. What I look at is when I make a comparison between two products, like ProPresenter is the elite software package for houses of worship, hands down. But this particular software does almost the same thing, and you don't have to take money out of your pocket to pay for it. So it's not free because you're using your time, but it's a benefit. It's a tool that you have access to. And so that I think that's what you want to say. And so, I asked the question last night, why would this person who created Free Show do it? And the answer came back that he wanted to use this high-end product called ProPresenter, and he couldn't afford to actually purchase another seat to use it in another location. So he was innovative and created something that would do almost the same thing that didn't cost people money.
I want to push back a little bit, but before I do, I just want to bring in a couple comments. So Alex raises a really interesting idea that this all started with the launch of the App Store, and this idea of the 99-cent app just created this race to the bottom in devalued software development as a trade, which I think is really, I had never thought of that. It's really fascinating. He says, we need to get used to and learn that nothing's free. It takes work to build something, and you should pay for it if you find value in it. Yes, and this is not a but, this is a yes and. And my and is that, and Lois sort of said this earlier, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit. There are things that are free.
Absolutely.
So right before we came on the show, I was showing off something that I've been working on and building, which is a tool for teachers. And I plan on putting it out there. I'm not going to charge for it. I just want people to use it and go to town. Now, I'm not an idiot. I put a donate button at the bottom. If someone wants to buy me a coffee because I put time and energy and money into doing this, great. But now I'm not a corporation, so I understand that it's different. That I'm working from altruism, perhaps. But yeah. I don't think we need to
love.
I don't think we need to, though, live in a world in which everything is either pay for it or sacrifice yourself and your attention. Because I don't think that's what we have. Tamara, do you agree?
Yeah, I'm going to and on to that. I think that we are, again, getting confused between corporations that are publicly traded who have the main goal in life to make money. They do provide a service, but a service in order to make money. Nonprofits, on the other hand, are providing a service to their community. So there's two different business models, and neither is better than the other. One needs to so I think part of it is, look, if you really hate corporate culture, you can just choose not to buy into things. I used to work on a TV show, on a soap opera, and people would send us all of these things when we did a storyline that they didn't like. They would send us a packet of receipts to prove to us that they were no longer using Procter & Gamble products. And I was like, you know what, if you want to go through the store and look at all the things that are Procter & Gamble and not buy them, that's on you. I totally respect that. I can't make that my corner of my life. So I think that we can't be upset. And I'm so curious because I really you are so viscerally upset about the word free.
Oh dear. No, I'm an actor.
And I'm like, as a friend, I'm like, I want to help you because I think that it's just, I don't necessarily think that I think in a way it's a smart person's problem, right? Because you're talking about
Yes.
marketing and whether it's right or wrong. And if you're not a smart person who isn't keyed into how the world is trying to get your money and do all of that, then you don't have this problem. You don't really care what the semantics are
So
because it's not
before
important
you
to
jump back in, I just want to, because Alex said something very similar. So he corrected me, and he's absolutely right that if I set the license to be completely free for use and donate what you feel, that's fine. But services that claim to be free, but then have these hidden costs of personal data, or like Facebook or Google. So is that Sky? Is that the concern that that companies that claim to offer free services but actually have these hidden costs in in using our data?
Well, it's not just hidden cost. It's and Tamara, I must say, any new person I meet now, I introduce this to them. I said,
Is that the
this
scowl?
is a dyslexic trying to concentrate and keep focus. This is not anger. This is ADHD in real time. So that the other point that you just made about identifying me as a friend, an acquaintance, I value hugely, if that's a word, because I do value you as a person that honors other people's time and energy, and that I have been passionate about this word. It maybe it sells more ad time or something. That's what we need. We need conflict. So you're welcome, David. But I I want to believe that we are communicating to smart people and that everyone is. And I think my challenge that came upon me, 2 weeks ago, was when I was watching very smart people just blithely throw the word around in a misconception and of value of, to Tony's point, time, and consequently our attention. Because so yes, am I picking nits? Oh yeah, I'm picking all the
But
nits,
but also some of
and
it is
I will not keep the tide from coming in. I know that. I'm this this is a
well,
fool's errand.
but no, you bring up a good point. I think
I
we
don't
do,
have anybody's billions of marketing dollars to convince you otherwise,
but
which
here's the
which is what
thing.
we are.
We do have to, as knowledgeable citizens of
Thank
how
you.
we are being manipulated
Thank you.
in the media, then it is something that we should talk about to anybody who will listen, right? Because in order to make some of those changes, we really have to do it in a way that is, through pushing bills through Congress that say, look, you can't misadvertise these things, just like finally Netflix can't have their ads louder than the show, because you have to get things passed through Congress. And the truth of the matter is, if not enough people know about it, or they don't care, and to be honest with you, I'm a smart cookie. I have been in media for, almost 40 years. I know what media does. And there are moments when I'm like, yeah, I know I'm being manipulated right now, but I don't care. I don't care. But you're right. Not enough people know, have a real clear understanding of what is happening to them when they're entering into these relationships with
Social
whatever they're doing.
contracts.
Yeah, in these social contracts. So you're right. We do have to talk about it more, and we have to say, look, is this something that really we should be focusing on changing at its core? At its core, what you're saying is, listen, don't false advertise to me. You need to say, I'm using your data. Now, in California, we have a lot more flexibility now, and laws continue to come into place where I can opt out of almost anything now. And so there are people who are making efforts to make laws that protect people whether or not they know or enter into that kind of contract. So I do think it's worth talking about. I think it's definitely worth putting out there.
That's and Paskin, thank you for the platform to have a conversation. And that's where this panelist of people is unique and different. And again, as I've said ad nauseum, that Madeline Smithberg was a performer. Tony Mobley is a conversationalist. It's both communications, but it's one is one way and one is in a group setting, so that we can have this conversation. David Paskin, thank you very much.
I want to go back to the idea of the advertising and targeted advertising, and that being the cost that we pay. Before I do that, I just want to say, Alex, you and I need to have a conversation because Alex is talking in here about using Bitrig to vibe code iOS apps. So the first problem is now I need to try Bitrig.
Oh, no.
I mean, that's like,
We're sending
thank you,
Dave down.
Why
like
did you even
slippery
mention
slope.
that? But then you say, which is fascinating, then you came to your senses because you can build something in 30 seconds in Bitrig that would have cost tens of thousands of dollars to build by a human being.
Yep.
Why isn't that a good thing? Why would you not want to? I mean, that's why I'm building apps for myself so that I don't have I'm not building anything myself. That's why I'm using AI to build things myself. And that's not for tonight, but I want to talk with you about that, Alex. Let's get back to the advertising.
I've been in areas that have had physical economic change because of weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and life is different and the economy is different. And I think Alex's point, for me, what I smell is, we've had a physical change in the economy that is affecting our buying habits, our purchases. I mean, for goodness sakes, we've got 5 Starbucks that shut down within 8 blocks. I live in Seattle, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Who shuts a Starbucks down in Seattle, the home of hot coffee that tastes the same everywhere you go?
Okay, let's talk about advertising, because a lot of people talk about advertising as the cost that we pay. So
Thank you.
I use Gmail or Google Docs or Google Sheets or Google Calendar, and somehow, and maybe I've become oblivious to it, but I don't see the ads on any of those platforms anymore. But they get access to all of this data about me. I mean, Google knows, they must know everything about me. Not to the exclusion, by the way, of T-Mobile, my phone carrier, who also probably knows everything about me. But Google knows a tremendous amount about me. And because of that, they're able to target ads at me when I'm in search or when I'm in wherever. Go team personalized ads. Like, why would I not want you to personalize ads for me? Why would I want you to advertise something that is meaningless and unrelated to me? I say, use my data, learn all about me, and then sell me exactly what I want.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, because
Am I wrong?
I feel like, no, I mean, listen, I don't think there is a way, if you want to play in this world, then you are giving up your data. So if you're taking my data, then by all means, target ads to me. In the old days of broadcast television, the ads were based on what the network wanted to have as their audience. So NBC wanted to have a highly intelligent college graduates who made X dollars a year, high level. And so their ads reflected that. And they sold ads to different places based on, here's what we can deliver you in terms of the audience that you're looking for. So they've always been targeted ads, but they've never been personalized ads. I love the personalized ads. If you're going to have my data anyways, by all means,
hold on. Can you just
share
clarify,
with me what I want.
Can you just clarify the difference for me?
Of targeted ads
versus personalized.
Sure. So every network in, the old days, the way broadcast networks are their advertising goes is they announce their shows in May and they say, this is what our season's going to be like. And as soon as they announce, they literally sell all of their ad buys to the end of the year. And then when they say, we're going to give you this many eyeballs on this and our demographic is this. So for many, many years, CBS was an older demographic. And so a company who wants to put advertising, they're going to look and they're going to say, I don't want to go to the WB because that's younger, or I want to go to Fox because it has this kind of ad. They
So
are
that's
targeted
targeting.
ads.
That's
Right.
targeting.
So you're buying those ads, and the way that they had to reconcile it later on is if a show didn't do well in the ratings, then they would have to buy back that ad money back. So that's why your
which the
show could get
shareholders
canceled
hate.
in 10 seconds. So we've always had targeted ads to us. And if you want to even go before media as we know it, we've always targeted in the information that we pass out. It used to be in the town square. We would just nail it on the church wall. Everything you needed to see that we were targeting for our community. So this isn't new. The new part of this is personalized ads. Is saying, we have your data. Now I have a profile of who you are, and I'm going to share with you exactly what I think you need and what you want.
And a certain bookseller that went online early days, was on, knows all your buying habits.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when creating content for them, consequently, acquaintance of mine said he created an amazing, beautiful piece of work that fit their design spec until he got the feedback from the executives that said, no, we need this to be understood from third grade level down, because we don't care who we sell anything to, because our job is to be the middle person to sell whatever we can and take
But
our
again,
little percentage.
that's their job, right?
It is their job, and I'm not disagreeing, other than it dumbs down a humanity as a species.
Right.
But
because
we've
now
been
we are-
dumbing down humanity as a
don't
species.
disagree.
No,
That's why this is a great opportunity.
So I
to
feel like that's the
challenge
thing.
it.
It's like I get why we're upset about it, but again, I think we're kind of it's a smart person's problem, right? And I'm on David's side where I'm like, listen, my options to not be targeted are to not go online. And I have many, many friends who they do not have, they just are not online. Their kids' faces aren't on their Facebook. They don't have it. They only have a Facebook for like business purposes. They legit get up in the morning. They're not scrolling through anything. They're going on a hike like a good person should, right? They are absolutely, they're like, this is so important to me that I am absolutely unwilling to play. And every time I go through and I go, am I spending too much time here? I'm like, no, because this is where I want to be. I fully understand that I am making compromises and choices. And I'm actually one of the people who
There's the
actually reads
punchline.
the terms of service, because I've been obsessed with how they change. Like I read all the way down
Oh,
to
you're
the
a better
bottom.
person than
I know
me.
exactly what I'm saying yes to. Most of you do not. You click on, hey, I want this. I'm going to say yes to everything.
Yep.
So I definitely weigh it out, and I'm like, do I want to give up what I have in this digital space? I don't. Do I know that I'm being used and in ways abused?
yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm agreeing to it.
And totally and absolutely agree with all of that. And you're a smarter or person than I am, because I do not read that. I figure they're already going to get my information. I remember how much this service, as was stated, used to cost. Consequently, it's like, oh, the value in the moment is, yes, I'm going to use, but I am going to champion that we might be able to turn the tide a little bit in calling it entry level, because it's nice and short and tight and accurate, rather than the fallacy of free. Free is just a marketing term. Okay, let me one point about the word that we've now come to understand that an engineer friend of mine just hates, because what he recognizes as a large stack of hard drives and chips and wires and cables, nobody could sell that as a concept until the marketing guys marketing people got a hold of it and called it the cloud. What a nice ethereal thing. Yeah, the cloud. But my engineer friend says it's just a bunch of copper cables and hard drives.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with marketing. I think that marketing does.
Agreed.
I think marketing is the gateway to help people take steps in,
And hurt.
into this. Right. I mean, I get it. I understand the bad side of it, but I'll tell you, to me, I am less concerned at fighting for adults to have, to be treated differently than I am for advocating for us to make rules in place to keep kids out of,
And you,
keep.
as a teacher,
Yeah, I mean, and I've changed because I was the teacher who came into it with going technology all the time, technology in my classroom, and all of these things. And now I'm like guided technology. I don't think that AI is for kids. And to me,
and
that's where I want to draw my line. That's where I want to fight to advocate for better legislation to protect
and you're
kids.
recommending governmental external education.
I'm recommending.
I'm seeking to believe that humanity themselves.
We have
can-
no evidence of that. And I'll tell you where we have no evidence of that. A lot of the schools in different states have said no cell phones at school, and they've come up with
Oh.
either you drop your cell phone in a bag that is locked, or you don't bring your cell phone at all. And the people who are saying no are other parents who are like, but what if there's a school shooting and I have to get to my kid? And I'm like,
Sure.
it feels like we might choose different things to solve the school shooting problem than phones in classrooms.
Let me get Tony's.
So
Let me get Tony's voice in real quick. Go ahead, Tony.
I really kind of want Tamara to go ahead on and talk about what she just thought.
All right, sorry.
Because I'm having trouble with that very argument about the use of declining to have students have smartphones in their hands when there is no legislation, regarding the pushback on weapons. I believe people have the right to have weapons, but I don't believe people have the right to have machine guns, or weapons that do that kind of damage. And so, this whole argument for me really comes down to people making a decision about what tools they're going to use, how they're going to manifest that usage of that tool. I would prefer someone to say to me, I'm going to give you 3 months of not paying for this particular application. And then after the 3 months, then this is what it's going to cost, rather than to say that something is free and never give me the knowledge that they're using my data in that way. But
in fairness,
but it doesn't.
They tell
work,
you
though.
they're using your data. I mean, we just
Right.
don't read it. Tamara does. So, I mean, we know what we're getting into. Just if I could make 2 other quick points. One is that, we've all, I think, been listening to Leo on Twit for years, and it's been. One of the things that has really been interesting to me is watching how his business has changed and the business model has changed, and how advertising really took a dip in podcasting, and he started Club Twit, which thank goodness has been sustaining for him. I was a member of Club Twit for a while. I stopped that. I really enjoy his ads. I think his ads are, because I know that he means what he's saying, but ads enough, and those ads are quite targeted because he knows his audience. Ads were not enough to sustain him.
Right.
So it's interesting to me that the model itself, even relying on ads or targeted or personalized advertising, may not be enough anymore. And if I could just ask a question of each of you, I'm curious. If you were given the option to pay for Google services, and they would not be able to target ads at you, or they would not have access to any of your data, or continue the way it is now, which would you choose? Would you would you actively choose to pay for those services rather than get them, I don't know how to say it, for free, but
So-
not for free?
I do pay for some services to not be targeted. So I pay for ChatGPT to get some extra some. So I do go through and say, what are the things that I really don't want my information used in a certain way? I know the settings, I'm checking them regularly. I make choices based on the fact that, like, the truth is with Google, you can turn off all of their AI features. The problem is then it turns off the thing that sorts your email into different buckets. And I'm like, actually, I really like that feature. So it is a tough thing because things are being tied into whether or not you're using them. And I do think I would pay for it for certain things, but we have proven, and this is the thing that you are so adept at, David, we are in a time frame right now where we can't just say pay or don't pay. Because the truth of the matter is we learned this with Facebook. Facebook was always going to charge. They were going to be free when they were in the colleges only, and when they moved into city locations, and then they moved to the general public, their idea was always to pay. And every time they floated that down, the idea of paying down the pike, people completely said, absolutely not, we will go somewhere else. And we know they'll go somewhere else because everyone had MySpace accounts, and then they had Facebook accounts. So I think it's much more complicated from a business standpoint than everyone pay or don't pay. If they could make us pay with no free layer, they would absolutely do that. But that is not the case, because if you have something like ProPresenter had something and they said this does not serve the population who is using it, which does not have extra money to pay that, someone came up with a different option and they presented it under a free model. Right. So I think that's part of the difficulty that big businesses are kind of juggling for good or better or worse.
Yeah. Tony, go
ahead. I wouldn't pay. And the reason why I wouldn't pay is because I don't think that no matter what they say, I don't think our information is secure. Right. And this is the example that I would use. All right, I am paying Google not to share my data. And they, I'm paying them $20 a month. They won't share my data. But I got my banking account at Bank of America. I got my wireless account at T-Mobile.
Careful how much, this is a broadcast. Careful how much information you give out.
And then, no, that's not actually my information. That's
good. Fictitiously, I know somebody.
That's not my banking information. That's not my mobile service. But I'm using it as an example. So I've paid Google the $20, but my wireless carrier and my bank information has been stolen. So does my information still end up on the dark web? Absolutely it does. So why would I pay? That's the way I look at it. So it really comes down to me, the value in the product that I'm using, and that is my justification for paying, not whether or not my information is going to be secure. Because I'm one of those people who believe that if somebody wants to find out about you, there are ways that they can do it, and it's just that's what it is. What it is.
Tamara, in the chat, you were saying that you do pay YouTube to not have ads. So that's interesting because I do that also.
I do that too.
Yeah,
I can't go back.
But
like you can't go back.
But for me at least, it's not because of any of this philosophical stuff that we're talking about. It's because they're frustrating. Like it's not.
No, same.
Yeah.
Like there are many things that target to me that I do not have a problem with, but in the old days, I certainly watched everything that was on broadcast television, and there were ads, and it was part of my life. It is not part of my life now, not post streaming, and I absolutely won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you get different content that you subscribe to. Cable, of course, can swear all they want because they don't have the same restrictions as broadcast television. So consequently, when the Emmy Awards go to the Netflix show, the people that are, looking at the cool shows they created for CBS or NBC just pull their hair out because they want those Emmys, because that means more money, that means more, advancement for themselves. But the consumer wants the dynamic, dramatic thing. But again, they're paying for that in their subscription. This is my point with the free broadcast television, is that there are limitations and restrictions that the FCC has, and they were put in for, the positive reasons at the time. But
listen, looking at my For You page on Netflix, I really wish that there were standards and practices, because I never thought, and I'm someone who has had to fight standards and practices for every little word in every script, but the fact that it's only based on who's watching what. We now have more horror genre, and it just feels like my whole For You page is like, I think you will like this shoot 'em up thing. I'm like, actually, I don't. I really would like to go back to having shows that I can just watch, and that I don't have to have anxiety and stress. Every gore is not my thing.
And having Captain Kirk swear up a storm, I don't know if Gene Roddenberry would have rolled over in his, I don't know, maybe he would have written it in and they censored it out. So he just wrote to the format within the bucket that he was given. But boy, Starfleet Academy has no problem.
I do wish
it is a subscription only.
I do wish they would split the Emmy to be more, and I felt like this when it was cable, when cable ace became, those awards became Emmys, and you were comparing Sopranos with like The West Wing, completely, totally different genres. It is completely different if you have a 59 minutes with no interruption versus a thing that has 4 different commercial breaks. Well, it's a completely different type of writing.
Coming from the broadcast model, that every 8 minutes, we've got to keep your attention because you're going to go away for 2 minutes,
right?
And so the truck might go over the edge, and now we cut to
you have struck that you need to go by. With Alex Knight. Modern Star Trek is an abomination. It has been since 2007. No,
that's next week's show. We're going to talk about it. No, we got to bring Alex on. No. Come on, Alex.
So, I want to tease next week, if that's okay.
Not about Star Trek?
No. This show, actually, for next week. Okay. So I want to tease the show because we just had Davos last week. And really, almost the entire conference was about AI. And there were some amazing conversations with one of my favorite historians, Yuval Noah Harari, he has been sort of all over the world talking about AI and humanity. And so next week we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about AI and humanity, and what do we need to worry about? In what ways is AI challenging or forcing us to question humanity? And this isn't about jobs and things like that. This is about personhood. This is about
there we go.
Are we sentient beings, compassionate beings, all of that. So
smart beings.
Smart beings. So I hope that you all will join us next week for that. I'm hoping that'll be a good conversation. As always, if you want to join us here on the panel, we have some spots. You're welcome to come anytime. Reach out to me over on Discord or email or Facebook or Twitter or wherever I am. I'm not on MySpace. I'm on TikTok, but I never check it. So you could ping me there, but I would never see it. But let me know, and please come join us. And thank you to Vic and Alex and Andre, who's watching, and Yuke and Brody and Tommy and Lois and all these amazing people who are watching. Lois is in 2 places. Lois has been busy. For someone who wasn't here, Lois, you were here.
She raised her hand.
She's our chat mom.
You were here. Red Cabin Acoustic got his office hours hat. That's fantastic. I forgot
so
to
excited.
order mine.
I should have worn my gear.
I know. I should have worn mine also. Richie ZXY, thank you so much for being here. Just scrolling through all these comments. Really grateful for a pro prompt. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We are here every Thursday night. Office Hours is here all the time. By the way, I just want to say, After Hours has been a lot more fun lately. There's been a lot more happening in After Hours. I don't always turn my camera on, but I'm always kind of lurking in there, and I love it. It's so nice to be. Today they were playing with not Claude Bot. What did they change the name to?
Coworker?
Bert Bot or Bod Bot or something like that. It's really interesting. They were playing with that in After Hours. It was very, very cool. In any case, lots of good stuff, my friends. I'm wishing all of you a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next week on the Rundown.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. See you soon.